into this morning to see what we can do, you understand, collectively in order to, reduce to the barest minimum or even entirely end this building collapse. And in the studio this morning, we have a builder, Kingsley Nweke, State Chapter Chairman, Nigeria Institute of Building, NIOB, Anambra State Chapter. Good morning, engineer.
Good morning.
Builder.
Builder.
Yeah.
Builder.
Yeah.
You're going to tell us now the difference, because I know that there's this controversy between the builders and the engineers.
Definitely, we'll get to that.
Okay, let's move on.
And also we have in the studio here, we have engineer,
Gentlemen, let's move on.
engineer Sir Felix Ifagwazi, Alex Ifagwazi, FNSC, FNICE, Chairman, Nigeria Institute of Civil Engineers, NICE Oka Anambra Chapter. NICE is a division of Nigeria Society of Engineers, NSE. Good morning. Welcome to have you, Engineer Alex.
Good morning.
Yeah, let's begin with the issue of somebody having money to invest in building a project and then having decided that, okay, fine, this money has been allocated to building, and then you begin your building and you don't put the necessary things in place. Over time, your building collapses. Is it going to be said that you have so much money to waste without going through the necessary process in making sure that what you build stands? In Europe, we have buildings that are still standing 500 years after they've been built. What could you say is responsible to building collapse in Nigeria in recent times? Talking about Builder Kingsley, please.
All right, thank you. Well, when you want to talk about building collapse, there are a lot of factors that lead to building collapse. Factors like professionalism, such as quackery, when you give a project to somebody that is not a professional. That could lead to collapse. Factors like monopoly of construction process. Building is a teamwork. That is why when you come to the building industry, you have 7 construction professionals. 7 construction professionals. You talk about the quantity surveyor, the land surveyor, the estate valuer, the structural engineer, the builder, the architect, of course, and I think I've called, okay, the town planners. So these are the core professionals we have in the built environment.
Irrespective of whatever structure you're erecting.
And every one of these professionals have their basic role to play in the built environment. From the beginning, of course, we know the town planner is a designer. He designs the layout, giving you basic areas such as the low density area, high density area, middle density area, the sizes of the plot, that is the parcellation. And they use the surveyors, the land surveyors map, which determines the size of the plot that they are laying out. Okay? Then you now talk about the architect. The architect designs the unit that has been mapped out, that has been mapped out from the layout. Yeah. He designs the unit, that is what we call the building. Now, with that layout, you talk about the structural engineer and the quantity surveying. The structural engineer gives life, or rather bone, to the flesh. I call it bone because without structural members, the building cannot stand. It will not survive.
So that's where you come in.
The structural engineer.
Okay, the structural engineer.
That is his area. The
Okay.
structural engineer designs the structural elements and specifications of every building based on the architectural design. Then the builder is the executor. The builder provides the production management document, which is the document of the process of production. We call it the methodology of the construction process itself. The builder is in charge of managing artisans and craftsmen. You know, when you're talking about building, we have stages. We have pre-construction stages, which is design stage, and you have construction stage, and then you have post-construction stage.
So now in these stages, who is responsible?
That is what I'm explaining.
Yeah.
When you're talking about in pre-construction stage, that is where all these professionals come in pre-construction stage. Then the builder, the architect, the structural engineer, the builder provides the builder's document, which is building production management document, inclusive construction program, the project quality management plan, and the construction methodology. That management of the artisan is in construction stage.
Oh, okay.
So during construction stage, those designers now come in as consultants to oversee what the builder is doing on site. That is construction stage, during construction stage. The architect comes to inspect to ensure that what the builder is doing is in line with his input. He's working for the client, of course. The structural engineer does the same. He comes to check, that is inspection.
Okay.
Why the builder is the executor, because he manages the
day-to-day
activities on site, which includes the quality of materials and craftsmen that are coming into the site. And all.
Okay, we are looking at a situation where people are witnessing so much building collapse in recent times. Of course, it started way back. And just last week, we had that one in Lagos and the one in Anambra, and it's been like that for a very long time now. And some people are saying that these things persist because there is no punishment for offenders. And some other people say that, how can you punish somebody when there's no law in place? Now, I want to find out from you, Alex, is there any existing law and regulations governing building construction in Anambra State?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Actually, there is a law. But the problem we have is implementation of the law, enforcement of the law. And that's where government has a lot of part to play. Because most of all these approving and agencies we have, what is their work? How come we just, day before yesterday, saw the one that happened along the express. That's why it's not even at a remote area, no person will see it. Then the building go through approval, it's not somebody that approved it. Then even during the execution of the job, is there not some of these agencies that used to go and say what is happening before the total collapse? But that's what, the one we had there is a total collapse. I remember we have failure is not collapse. But when you have total collapse, there's nothing you can do about that. Actually, as my brother rightly said, the builder, you have all these professionals he mentioned, all of them are under built-up environment. Every aspect of them has a role to play. And then some of these approving agents like Physical Planning Board, ACT, ACTA, all of them, before any particular structure is being approved, there are certain things they're supposed to look at. And then during the execution, they want to look at them too. So we have what we call building code.
Okay, before we get to that building code, let's look at enforcement of these building regulations. What do you think is stopping the enforcement?
Well, if you allow me,
because if it's not enforced, we keep having this problem.
If you allow me to say, that's where the problem comes into play. It's not only in Anambra State, but Nigeria generally.
Yes.
You know, but we have more of talking than walking. That's why, just like last week, NICE, that's the Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, will carry out what we said, walk. In the other way, we started to walk the talk. Okay? Stop quackery. Use professionals in erecting any building or infrastructure. Because why we did that particular advocacy work or this sensitization is let government know that we, the professionals, we are worried about all this incessant collapse. And anytime it happens, they say Nigerian engineers. That's why most of them, some of them used to import engineers abroad. But when we go there, Nigerian engineers are performing wonderfully well abroad. So the problem is, you yourself are supposed to know it more than me because you're press. You guys normally do some of this investigation. So you know that the problem is that government tell us where lies the problem that they find it difficult to enforce some of these laws we have in the beauty code and so on and so forth. That we keep on experiencing this building collapse here and there. So it's
the duty of the government to do the enforcement?
Definitely I'm an engineer, and under engineering, we have what we call regulatory body, Koren.
That is what I want to find out now. Is there nothing Koren can do? Is it just government?
Because I want to believe that there are some of these buildings collapse that have certified engineers at the work site. So it's not a case of just quackery. If we do our investigations, you will discover that some of these buildings have actual engineers on site, actual architects, actual estate surveyors, having all these components in order to have a building. Yet the buildings to collapse. So what would you say?
Yeah, come in here, because what he was trying to say is to find out if an engineer is managing this house and the house collapses, what is the role of Koren towards that particular engineer?
I will let you first of all.
Okay.
He will answer that, but let me explain something.
Go ahead.
Like I said earlier, one of the causes of collapse is monopoly of construction process. A builder cannot design a house, the architectural, structural, and then carry it out. Definitely there will be failure because he's not trained for that, as well as the architect and as well as the engineer. We have our basic rule. But the problem we are having, one of the problems we are having in the country is that the government want to do every government want to succeed. But the problem is the people around him, are they telling them the truth? Are they telling them the truth? Do they understand it? You know, if as a governor or as an administrator, once you have the right people to advise you on what to do, he may not know. He is not, of course, he is a professor, like our present governor is a professor, but a professor in economics, there is no way he would know every field. So it is the people around him that will guide him right in taking the right decisions, which boils down to our various professional bodies. Our various professional bodies need to work together as in synergy. It is not once everything is all about your profession. No, that is not it. It will not work.
So we have established that it's not just government.
No, excuse me. Sorry. Actually, I really know. My brother here is a builder, okay? And most of all these structures, the builders are highly involved. Whether registered or non-registered, I'm supposed to understand that one. But
highly involved in what?
Building a structure, man.
I just want to.
I'm just clear it, okay? That's why I said whether registered or not, but we, the professional, would normally like to use the registered ones.
Okay.
So that I see somebody who is capable if anything happens. Okay? Personally, my own self, there's a structure I'm consulting in Asaba now. And then the owner of the structure said that there must be a resident engineer. They're always interested engineer. But what I send there is that my resident engineer is a registered builder. You understand the point? Because they are building the project. I'm a structural engineer myself. So I can always go there and see what is happening. But he's there with the workers. He's supposed to know what is happening. So we know all these things. But the main problem we experience is that you already said lack of enforcement. We in Koren is an establishment of federal government. But here in Anambra State, we have what we call ASTC, Anambra State Technical Committee. It's an arm of engineering monitoring team. You call it ERM, regulators. But they find out that most of the time, we can go to the site to go and see. Because definitely when you have a building, there are so many things that involve. A building can be in existence, but lack of maintenance can equally cause some failure. All of them are part of it. But they find out that because of we are not well equipped. Most of those people don't respect the security agencies. Now, the government is supposed to play up, okay, this body is very, very useful to us. Therefore, have to equip them, let there be mobile, maybe provide transport, provide security, so that anytime we do, there's supposed to be a report. Note that particular point. Then the second one is that on getting to the site, the current, for instance, I will normally request where the builder are they registered builders, everybody has a certificate. Okay? The engineer that is built, okay, maybe the supervisor or the consultant, is he a registered engineer? Does he have a current certificate? But for you to answer the word engineer, must have be a current member. Because engineers, that's what we say NAC. NAC is just like a big father, okay? Embracing the whole divisions we have in engineering.
Nigerian Society of Engineers.
Exactly. You have mechanical, electrical, under civil per se. You have civil, you have the structures, you have highway and transportation, you have water.
But all of them are in Korean too? They're all in Korean?
Yeah, because they're engineers now.
Of course.
Korean, you registered them.
Okay.
But the problem we now have, because most of the time when the professionals come together, they normally say encouragement. You know, you are doing the, not necessarily what you used to cost failure, because from what you defined here, yes, for a project to start, you're supposed to, probably the software is supposed to move in, the town planner is supposed to move in, the quantity of has your work to quantify so that the project will not be bereft of funding. Because some of all these scholarships, funding can equally cost it. When you don't have the money, you find that the contractor will not be compromising to make sure that the clients, he meets up with what the needs of the clients.
But in that case, there has been accusation towards you, the engineers, that some of the things that caused this building collapse is because of greed. If I contact you as an engineer, that I want to build a house, you will not give me that professional advice that, okay, I am a builder, this is where my work starts. You need an architect, you need a structural engineer, and you know, and the rest of them, so that we move. That, you know, kind of a thing. So you want to do it all yourself, and you want to consume all the money.
No, let me come into it. That's why we talk about professionals. Okay? If you see what I have at the back, the work I did, what do I say there? Did I say
no to quack?
And it's the patronized professional engineers. Actually, underbuilt environment, most of the workers, they are normally engineers because it's engineering something that you are doing. Okay? But why builders normally separate that? We're not in it, so that they make sure that when they are working there, you know that people that are working, no person wants his own to be taken away. We take orders of that particular one. But we are talking about what used to cause most of all this incessant collapse. That's why you said, yes.
It's negligence on the side of the professionals.
Definitely, an structural engineer can never do the work of an architect. But excuse me, you are coming in. Yes. I know that when you come to all these builders, we know how some property, we are highly protected. We don't have problem with builders. We use you people.
Well, no,
so let me just
when you're done.
Definitely, can never erect a building without a builder. So I don't really know why all those need to complain. But what I'm saying is this. If current is giving the necessary support, as we have SCC in Anambra State, then some of all these buildings, because we're supposed to go there, find out, advise the government, if where they're supposed to have tests on time, like raw material testing lab is there, okay, both destructive and non-destructive tests, then they can be carried out. You understand? But the problem we now have, that's why I said government agencies, like when you call ACTA is there. If you not go in there, will not ask you who asked me to go.
Is it a business of ACTA to test the materials?
Oh, no. What was
you guys are not meeting up to your responsibilities. I will put it to you now, even though I'm not a lawyer.
You are not a lawyer, you're not an engineer. Understand the difference. That's what just use the word encouragement. There's a place you can now enter. Somebody will not ask you, for good, the person will not ask you, why did you go there?
So what is the duty of that, what do you call it, Anambra Technical Committee before the Korean?
ASTC.
What is the duty?
Committee.
Okay, what is the duty of that committee?
The duty of the ASTC is, first of all, most of all these government bodies are involved in it, police, everything. Okay, but you remember you use the clear word, enforcement. We normally have a very good laws, but to enforce is where the problem lies. Okay, their own work is to go to make sure that some of all these buildings, the one that is maybe, you look at this building, is ready to collapse, it starts on time. so that you not fail.
That's why I asked you that question,
Okay.
because you guys are not meeting up to your professional responsibilities. That's why we are having building collapse.
How do you say so?
But that's what it is. Did somebody inspect that building that fell the other day?
Who expected it?
What is your duty? The duty of the committee is not to inspect all these things.
Wow.
To supervise it, to ensure that it is okay. You can come in.
Please, I want to correct an impression. The engineer here, my brother, he mentioned that for non-registered builders and
Registered
builders. Please, whenever you see a non-registered builder in a site, he is under tutelage.
Of a registered builder.
Tutelage to a registered builder. That is why before you obtain carbon, you must be under a registered builder for a period of 3 years. And within that period of 3 years, you have a logbook to fill of the project you are handling under the registered builder. So whenever you see a non-registered builder on site, it means that he is taking instructions from a registered builder. And in the recent past, the past 3 years, you will never hear of a building in Anambra State that was done by a builder that collapsed in the recent past.
How do we
Please
how do we differentiate? Which one is done by you and which one
Please
is done by
verify.
How do we differentiate?
No. Whenever there is a project and there is a collapse, we have our registrations. And in that registration, whenever they mention the person's name, I can stay and tell you the name. Once you call the name of the registered builder, I am the state chapter chairman of Anambra State. I know all the registered builders. Okay. We are up to 70 in number. I know them one after the other.
And registered builders in Anambra State,
yes,
domiciled in Anambra State, can't go to Delta State to build. Is that what you're saying?
No, they do, but of course there is a national body.
Okay.
And we have a number.
Okay.
Whenever you hear, sometimes you say, I'm a builder. Sometimes people even refer to the developer as a builder because they don't understand that it's a professional, this is a profession. They think a builder is a developer. So whenever you hear that word, the builder, we first of all verify. And I tell you, you can go and verify. There is no recorded builder in the recent past that has been involved.
That is interesting.
So that is that. Then I want to also make something clear. You mentioned that monopoly is not one of the recorded as one of the, or rather, you don't think.
No, monopoly is not encouraged. I don't say that.
Monopoly is one of the major problems that we are having in Anambra State.
So who are the people that are...
The last panel of inquiry on collapsed building sites, I was part of it.
The one at DMGS?
The one at DMGS and Ochanja. So I can tell you that monopoly is one of the major problems we are having.
That's what I said here. You won't want to involve other professionals. You want to do it
exactly.
alone. And whether
so I don't want to mention them. You see a particular
you have exonerated the builders.
A particular professional going to undertake or rather do all the work of all seven professionals.
We know.
That is one of the problems we are having.
Now you said that a monopoly could be part of it, but I've seen where an engineer said that one of the problems they are having right now is substandard materials being produced.
You know, I was...
Now, how would you, an engineer, you the builder, you understand? Is it not what is available in the market that you buy in order to execute your building? Do you go to the company and tell them the specification of what you want to be manufactured for your own building?
The problem is sun. If sun, and in fact, one of the major problems is the professionals. If we can come together, we can change a lot.
Okay.
If the construction professionals can tell Sun that this is what we want.
Okay. I think that question is undercurrent. I want Alex to take that question.
Let me just remember our own problem is the causes of this building collapse.
Exactly. How to stop it.
I just look at you and say, obey the law. Engage registered builders. Which one that you say, he said those unregistered ones are the ones that are,
working on that
at the site.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But that's part of the problem.
Sorry, I didn't get what you said.
No, he's not talking to you.
You are not talking to me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Trying to expatiate on what he said. Okay. Now, Koren has a lot of problems. ACC has a lot of problems. Remember, I keep on saying enforcement. Government agencies. Yes, SOM is part of government agency. Now, before coming here, once again, I visited that particular collapse site.
Yeah.
I think at a great honest. I find out that we don't even have what is called monolithic structure. The iron steel reinforcement, all of them are separate. When I took some of the pictures, when you look at the beams, the honeycombs, everything, and even the columns are being showed by the block. You understand the point? Therefore, you don't have the correct size. Then how can such a thing stand? And for the mere fact that the building total collapse, majority of the enter inside the ground because that's
you keep referring to this word total collapse, total collapse. Is there a difference between a structural damage and total collapse?
Yes, now you have the failure, you have the structural failure. Yeah. Failure is not a collapse.
Partial collapse.
Just like
there is failure. When a building fails, it can still be standing, but it has already failed. The structural members has failed.
Anyone so that fails, anyone that do anything will just pull it down.
So if you leave it, it could result to either partial collapse. Partial collapse is maybe part of the members falling off. Then total collapse is when the entire building.
Gentlemen, don't take us away from this this particular thing that we're asking now. Whose duty is this to test the materials?
I now said because Koren is always the center. That's where the engineers, the body, regulating the works of the engineers. But again, as we said, I keep on saying government agents because we know what we experienced at the site. Even the DMGS Millennium building that collapsed, that the panel was set up for it. So many issues came up.
We will still get to know what the outcome of that panel was.
No, government has not released the white paper anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last year, I think it was at Ibolo Refite. A two-story building with a penthouse just collapsed, and then the carpenters, about 3 carpenters were killed there. We rushed in there, they built all of them, all of the whole professionals were there. And at the end of it, of the report, before you know it, they said that government was interested in that particular collapse. I was highly disturbed because as a surgeon, I supposed to know. I went there, I saw what happened, preliminary studies anyway. Because when you carry out that test, you now know what caused it. Yeah. But when you got visual, you can hardly say this is it.
Is it only when a building collapses that you go to inspect? I asked a question. Whose duty is it to inspect those materials before building or during building? Like we noticed yesterday that those rubbles there that don't have enough cement in the blocks and a whole lot of things. What does the committee know? Where does the job of the committee that you said come in when it comes to inspecting the materials? You guys cannot be talking to yourself when we are talking to you.
No, that's why we are professionals. Okay, you find that you mentioned.
We are professionals too.
You mentioned substandard steel rods, okay, that are being used in construction. You mentioned substandard concrete blocks, that's what you call block walls, that are being used in construction. You meant even planks.
Now, let me even ask you, engineer.
Alex,
you go to some block industries and you can't even lift a block and put in the vehicle to convey to your building site. And those blocks will now be used in the construction of the structure. And you expect that structure to stand the test of time. When from the production of the block at the factory, those things are already substandard. So I think everybody is culpable in this. So there is no case exonerating because that same block will be brought to the building site and the builder will be there and see that these blocks are not solid enough and they will still use it in construction.
Okay.
We are looking for solution now. We are
asking why.
We are rounding up. We are rounding up. So please, let's look at the solutions.
You see, the process why I keep on saying it now.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, now, because I really know the bone of most of all these buildings, right, the structures is steel rods. Okay? Yeah. Because when you put on the steel rod, then you form it and put concrete, it gives a monolithic structure that can carry a building. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you are now saying, when you was mentioning, because all of them are under civil, but you have what you call geotechnical engineer. Geotechnical engineer did the soil test to determine the bearing capacity of the soil.
And what can stand
Do they exist here? Do they exist here?
What you're supposed to say, are they making use of
That's
them?
why I'm asking.
Oh, yes, because
if they exist, we should make use of them.
Mentioned, these are the processes extraction supposed to take. But when I look at this and see the extent that building enter inside it, I realize that the the bearing capacity probably was not met. But again, most of what these designers, they used to assume probably this particular place, but what you have, the bearing capacity of this particular area may be different from the other side.
Yes. Or if you see another structure standing there, you wouldn't know what they did before they read that. You just go and... Let's take we are running off.
If a developer wants to, let me just...
Okay, we are running off, please.
Solution, please. First of all, if you want to design a structure, yes, the architect, that's why it's the architect create problem for engineers. Yes, they can design everything so beautiful. But it's the duty of an engineer to make sure it stands. Now, the structural engineer is supposed to ask questions. Now, has the geological engineer done the soil test? So that on your own designing, looking for axial, you're supposed to know the bearing capacity of that particular soil.
Okay.
That's again, the structural engineer, using his own judgment, will now do the necessary design. Now the approving authority. That's why I said all these approving authorities. So, they are supposed to be professionals. How professionals there? Okay. How engineers are not only necessarily.
Not civil servants.
Yes, that's okay. Why when you mention parks.
Thank you. In one sentence, please. Solution. What do we do to avert building collapse in Anambra State? We don't have the time. We don't have the time. There are a few things
I want to point out.
No, we don't have the time. Give us solution. Let's go.
Once there is the right professional in a site, even if there is substandard materials, he will notice it and he will stop it. I have done it several in my sites. Okay. If you bring the wrong sand, the wrong stone, the wrong block, I will tell you to take it back. But what you are seeing is that we have less than 30% of professionals handling projects.
So the solution, please.
So the solution is this. First of all, at the interim, what the government needs to help us to do is that every approval agency, like we have the ACDA, we have the physical planning, they need to create a building control, quality control unit.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Quality control unit. Let's go. No minutes. No minutes. We have another session coming, please. You guys should go and sort yourselves out.
Thank you so much for here, and then we thank you that at least you watching us definitely will know what to do. And these are the right steps to take in order to avert our building collapse in our locality. And thank you so much, our builder, Kingsley Nweke, State Chapter Chairman, Nigeria Institute of Building. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And also Engineer Sir Alex Ifeagwazi here, FNSE, FNICE, Chairman, Nigeria Institute of Civil Engineers, OCA Chapter. Thank you so much for being here.
Follow my man.
Thank you so much. Well, the show still continues because we still have another segment that's going to be coming up shortly. Don't go anywhere. Good Morning ABS is still ongoing.
At the site, to have done the spot assessment, we found out that it's not an active site. And however, the engineer claimed he noticed a crack in the building, which he was trying to ratify, and then there was this sudden collapse, and then the two people that were nearby were rescued immediately and taken to the hospital. According to him, nobody is trapped in the building. However, the Ministry of Works, the State Emergency Service, the medical team, and the public utility, they're all there on the site to commence evacuation of the debris, and the fire service to do the needful.